Video revealed of truck drivers caught on hidden cameras texting and talking on the phone. These are terrifying moments on tape when drivers are taking their eyes off the road, putting everyone around them in danger. Investigative reporter Jim Hopper from our New York station, WABC TV, brings us the story.
Take a look at this video. A distracted truck driver in Arizona, allegedly looking at pictures on his phone, crashes into police cars and emergency vehicles, killing one officer. The driver has pleaded not guilty to murder charges. It seems epidemic. Truckers on major U.S. highways texting or talking on the phone. On the New York highway, this trucker appears more focused on texting than driving. One of the worst cases we observed, this driver engaged in dual distraction as he talks on two phones, carrying on two conversations. On any highway where we set up our camera, we easily caught truckers dialing, texting, and talking on their phones. Illegal for sure, and potentially deadly.
The truck just came up and hit him from behind and pushed him into another truck.
A year ago, George and Kathy Weed were killed when a driver who police say was texting slammed his tractor trailer into the back of the Weeds' car on a Pennsylvania highway.
It utterly destroyed us. I mean, it's devastating beyond words.
Do you think the consequences are strict enough right now for truckers?
Well, is it really changing behavior? And from your video, that video pretty clearly shows that there's a lot of people driving commercial vehicles that are still using their personal electronic devices.
For Good Morning America, Jim Hopper, ABC News, New York.
To fly a rocket ship, you need to be an optimist. No astronaut launches for space with their fingers crossed.
All right, now I'm gonna show this last one here.
New details tonight emerging from the video of a commercial trucker driving off an overpass on I-75 because he was distracted by his cell phone. ABC Action News reporter Luce live tonight with more on the company. And Michael, I know that you've just uncovered a history of citations for similar violations, right?
Wendy, after we went online, we did go and we saw that this company has actually been cited 9 times for drivers using their cell phones behind the wheels, driving these huge Mack trucks you see behind me. They've also been involved in a couple of fatality crashes in the past couple of years as well. Investigators say dash cam video from inside the cab and outside shows Samuel Colon moments before he drove off the Interstate 75 ramp and onto Fowler Avenue below. Looking at the pictures from last week's crash would make you think the driver of the heavy dump truck didn't survive, but Colon did. Florida Highway Patrol investigators say he was a very lucky man. Hey, Mr. Colon. Hey, I work with ABC Action News. We tried talking to Colon tonight, but we were told to leave the property. According to FHP, another driver cut off Colon, which contributed to the crash. But because he was looking at his phone, Colon couldn't react in time. Online statistics from the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration shows that Soil Tech distributors based out of Tampa have been cited 9 times for drivers using cell phones, 11 times for them not wearing seatbelts, and 9 times for speeding. For Soil Tech distributors, after 3 violations, the penalty jumps to $11,000 a citation. And for Colon, that citation is a lot lower, $500 for the first one using your cell phone behind the wheel. Florida Highway Patrol tell us tonight that the driver that cut him off fled the scene. They're still asking anyone who knows who that driver is to give them a call. We're live here in Tampa tonight. Michael Bluska, ABC Action News.
All right. So in terms of these videos, for me, watching these videos is always alarming, just from the fact that
Minnesota State Patrol is mounting up.
Sorry, just from the simple fact that it's a lot of these cases can be avoided. You know, the cell phone usage, you know, the food, the not paying attention to, you know, your surroundings, and it gets to the point where, you know, when is enough enough? and putting yourself in jeopardy and putting the public in jeopardy is a very difficult thing. Um, you know, and so anybody have any kind of comments, or you see this out on the road yourself and you're driving down the freeway and you look over and you see, you know, the truck next to you, uh, a distracted driver, what's usually your reaction? Do you try to get away, you know, let the driver drive a little faster than go in front of you so you can leave them behind? Or what are some of the things that you notice when you're out there?
I mean, for me, if I do notice that another trucker is using his phone while he's passing me, I feel like passing is already dangerous enough, since given how wide the vehicle is. So I just release the cruise control and slow down, just let him pass.
Right. Yep. Yes, indeed. So
Hey, Aaron, we want to say that what the video indicates, one of the videos indicated is a choice. And they are comparing like just texting and driving, like if you're going drunk. But at the end of the day, they're saying it's your choice. So with choices, it comes consequences, whether they are good or not so good. And that's what we want to create conscious, that yes, we can be driving, yes, we can be doing our things the best that we can, but we need to be aware of the choices we're making on a daily basis, that those choices does not affect the driver and the other citizens.
hello, I'm gonna try to keep you on speaker on my phone.
Okay, let me close the door here so it makes noise. Okay.
All right, I have David here, everybody. He was having some technical difficulties, but in terms of those videos, I agree. And then too, FedEx right now is, you know, one of the carriers that's getting pulled over the most. And, you know, I see it here locally, just whether they're even pulling over the package vans a lot now too, driving down the freeway, going to their, you know, delivery areas. So it's amazing that, you know, with all the incidents that's occurred over the last several months or last year, how FedEx being in that hot zone, in terms of just citations and CSA violations has really caused a lot of problems for you guys when a lot of you guys do the right thing every single day, and has never gotten to accidents or incidents out there that that were because of your own fault. So there's a lot of people that go their whole careers without ever getting into any accidents or incidents, and they take this very seriously. And I always think about that word professional. You know, in every other industry, like for example, when we talk about doctors, we consider doctors a professional. So when it comes down to them operating, you know, or doing a procedure on someone, you expect, you know, a high level of completion and focus and attention to detail. A lot of it because they went to school, they have the training, they have the expertise, and that's the same thing that applies to a person that's driving a truck because they're considered a professional. So just keep that in mind. Always take it serious, because you're in an exclusive bunch in terms of you have a CDL license, you got trained, you went to school. And, you know, right now is probably one of the toughest times for you guys in regards to it's easier to get complacent right now because I know at least here in California, the freeways are empty. And thinking that you're not going to have a lot of traffic, you know, you can take that extra moment to look at your phone because, you know, there's not a lot of cars on the freeways. But just remember that the unexpected could happen, and how will you respond could be a totally different issue. So I'm going to have David cover a few things in regards to COVID-19 and some best practices and a couple updates.
Okay, yeah. Aaron, did you cover PC and on duty?
No, not yet.
Okay, all right. Hello, everybody. I'm sorry I'm having a problem. I tried to get in, and it said I was the only one there. I thought something was wrong. I tried a couple different pins, and I was not able to get through. So Aaron is using his cell phone to do this. The question I was asked is hours of service, personal conveyance, and on duty. Personal conveyance is when you are from wherever you live or park the truck till the time you get to the terminal where you're actually going to work. You can use personal conveyance for that. If you're, let's say you drop the trailer at a terminal and you go to a motel or a hotel or go to have dinner or whatever, you use personal conveyance for that. You cannot use personal conveyance while you are in any of FedEx's facilities. At that point, when you cross over the line into the facility, you are on duty. I know I've had that issue before. Just remember that. As soon as you cross into FedEx property, you're on duty. Any other time, you can use personal conveyance. This COVID-19 thing is getting pretty serious for a lot of reasons. And the real thing is when you go to your terminal, to be careful that you keep your distance, and it's not that you're going to have COVID-19, but you keep your distance to keep yourself protected. This is mainly about protecting yourself. It's not just so much about worrying about other people, but if you protect yourself, then that'll be it. Keep your distance. If you have a mask, an N95 mask, wear that. If you don't have an N19 mask, get a painter's mask and wear that. It's not as good as, but it's better. The COVID-19 is spread by droplets. Someone who has it sneezes or coughs into the air. I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of people who sneeze and there's a slow motion. I've seen slow motion pictures of it. You have thousands and thousands of tiny particles of spit that contain the virus. What you want to avoid is breathing that in through either your nose or your mouth. So wearing a mask of any kind is better than no mask, but the N95 is best. If you are coughing yourself, please wear a mask. Okay? Now, what happens is this virus will live on cardboard for a day. We handle a lot of packages that are cardboard, and so you need to think about that. You need to be wearing gloves, either work gloves or plastic gloves to keep your hands clean. On plastic surfaces or hard surfaces, it can live for up to 3 days. So doorknobs, door handles, glass, countertops, all of those things can contain COVID-19 if someone has sneezed or coughed into their hand and then placed their hand on top of that. So wear gloves and wear your mask. Even you don't have to wear the mask inside the truck, but you do need to wear the mask or the gloves when you're handling the vehicle. One of the things that I have made possible for drivers is to provide them with Clorox wipes that they can use as they get in and out of the truck. Use a hand sanitizer before you get into the truck, so you're not, even if you're wearing gloves, you can sanitize the outside of your gloves just like you can sanitize your hands, so that you're not putting it on the door handle or on the steering wheel or the gear shift or any place inside the truck. So sanitize before you get in. I've given out little personal bottles of sanitizer, but inside the truck you can use Clorox wipes. You can also use hydrogen peroxide. I've got little spray bottles of hydrogen peroxide, and they can be refilled, and they're in all the trucks. So you can go over the truck a little bit with hydrogen peroxide. The idea is to keep it clean. You can also need to spray, if you can, the bottom of your shoes. Because as you're walking around, people are sneezing in the air. They're not covering up. They're sneezing into the air. You bring it into your shoes. Bring it in on your shoes. You can spray if you have a carpet. You spray the floor where your shoes are. When you get home, the idea is not to spread it there. I have 2 pairs. I've suggested to the drivers that they have 2 pairs of shoes, outside shoes and inside shoes. That before they walk into the house, they put on a better pair of shoes, an inside pair of shoes. You can also spray the shoes that you take off again with either Lysol or Clorox or hydrogen peroxide. When you get home, change your clothes. Take a shower before you hug or kiss anybody in the house. That prevents it from entering the house. These precautions are all online. You can go to the CDC and see online on what you can do for this. The real issue is you want to keep as safe as possible. And for those people who think that they're not going to get it, those are the people that it's going to be worse. I know in Florida, they decided to have Easter weekend, not Easter weekend, but spring break anyway. And now Florida is one of the hot spots, becoming one of the hot spots. In New Orleans, the same thing. They decided to have Mardi Gras anyway. So now New Orleans is a hot spot. So always be careful. Don't take it home. Keep the inside of your truck and keep your personal self clean. Any questions?
No, not really.
Okay. All right. Have a good day and be very, very, very careful. Pay attention because it's what Aaron said. Not about traffic out there. You don't have to worry about not paying attention to be focused on what you're doing because there's a lot more space than you used to have. Now's the time when you really need to be focused.
But before,
I've seen more spin outs people because they speed, because they're speeding, because there's a lot of traffic. The roads are wet. So be alert to that.
David, I have a question, but it's going back to the videos that we were seeing and the cameras. We were hoping also that maybe we can explain a little bit of the new rule that maybe FedEx has with how the threshold and the cameras are going to work and how we need to provide feedback to the drivers based on the behaviors they're displaying.
And she was asking about
she's asking about the key indicators?
Yeah, on the Vetter systems.
Okay. Yep. All right. The Vetter system has, and this is mainly for the contractors, but the drivers probably should know this anyway. The Vetter is the video recording devices that are in the trucks, and they are to record any incidents or possible accidents that we have. However, from now on, the data that comes from these are being transmitted, okay? And one of the things that happens is we are required to have connectivity, technology connected to transmitting devices. All right? Operators in association with a triggering event are defined and determined by the Vetter vendor, which is depending on who you have. Operator trained service providers within 4 days of Vetter trigger event. Let's say there's a triggering event where you're either wearing the earphones in both ears, or you're touching the phone, or you're not paying attention to what's going on, or you make a hard turn, or you have the phone in your hand. Those are triggering events. Those are being monitored by the vendor, okay? The contractor now is required to come back to you and say to you, this is what was recorded, this is what happened, we're talking to you about it, correct it, okay? And you get this done within a certain period of time. If after a period of time you have not corrected it, there's the disciplinary action that can take place. Okay. Most of the contractors have been good at finding out what the triggering event is and doing the coaching that is required to correct the event. But what they're not doing, and this is only about, from what I'm hearing, only about 10% of the contractors go back in again afterwards to double check to make sure that that coaching has been successful. So you're going to be coached on what to do, and then the contractor will check you again to make sure that that habit that you're doing has been corrected, that you are now doing what you're supposed to do. And there are minimum thresholds for these. Percentages of vehicles that have not checked in 4 days does not exceed 10%. Okay. Percentages of triggering events which no operator has been assigned does not exceed 15%. In other words, 10% of your crew, 15% of the crew. Percentages of triggering events overdue for service provider training does not exceed 20%. Okay? Percentages of triggering events repeated within 60 days does not exceed 40%. So, under the contract, FedEx has required the contractors to get from the vendor the people who are licensed for the cameras to check you and make sure that you're doing what you need to be doing. And then the contractor now is required to bring you in, to coach you, to correct it, and then also go back in again and see that event has been, that you actually are successful in changing the habit. Those are the new requirements.
And essentially, too, it's checking, like some of those events would be you not wearing your seatbelt, hard braking. Like David also mentioned, like you kind of swerving and going off the road. Those are some of the few that come to my mind off the top of my head. The speeding, like when you're backing up, you hit, like you back up to the door and the G-forces will kind of trigger that sometimes. Might not necessarily be a valid coaching event, but so essentially just looking at behaviors, and if you come up on one of those lists, or you continually, for example, you're not wearing your seatbelt and the camera continually catches that, then it could potentially lead to a disqualification by FedEx. So if you get a coaching event, don't take it personally, but just try to learn from it and understand that it's all to increase or create a better environment in terms of just safety behaviors.
Yeah. Let me I want to say something about that. FedEx spends a lot of money paying out things from accidents, either claims that are made against the company and claims that are made against the contractors. And under the contract, FedEx is required to defend the contractor and the drivers from legal action. Well, a lot of that money goes out. Okay, and what FedEx is attempting to do is to lower that threshold. A death can be as much as $5 million. So that's $5 million that in this economy, at this point, we need to keep within the company so that we can continue to operate. And it's also for your own safety. My company was involved in an accident in Pennsylvania. Fortunately, because the driver in the rain was only doing 50 miles an hour, when the accident occurred, he was rear-ended. The driver that rear-ended our truck was literally cut in half because he was probably doing 70, 75 miles an hour when he hit. The part of his body wound up underneath our truck, and the other part stayed in the cab alongside the truck. These things you may think are just small things, but small things add up. It's a habit. You need to have safety habits all the time. Not think, well, I'm going to be okay this time. No, it needs to be safety, safety, safety. And FedEx now is requiring us to actually verify that we are being safe, not just the result of having cameras in and all of that, but verify that we are correcting habits that are not safe. It's for your own good, it's for your family's good, it's for the public's good, and obviously for the corporation. But we are, if you want to call it that, lucky that we're in the transportation industry and we have jobs that we can continue to pay and work at. I think of that as a blessing. So let's keep that so that the corporation stays in one piece and doesn't have to pay out a lot of money for accidents.
Thank you guys for all that you guys are doing. We know through these tough times, you guys are you're always the backbone of our country, and the work that you guys are doing is important to society. So we thank you. Just stay focused, stay safe out there.
Yeah, but before we go, I'd like to go over some updates really quick.
Okay.
All right, so the Ocala Line Haul announced that they're working on setting hand washing stations outside the Line Haul office, and I know other hubs outside of the state have also set them up because I've seen them. And I would just like to remind everyone that FedEx is exempt from the stay-at-home order. So just keep your curfew letter with you and wear your uniform and have your FedEx ID with you in case you get stopped by the police. So you could demonstrate to them that you are properly exempt from any curfew or stay-at-home orders. And along with that, internally in our company, we're cleaning all the trucks and disinfecting them every week before you guys get them. But it will also help if you guys, wash your hands, as David was saying. And also, please be patient with the line haul offices, because due to this virus and pandemic, the logistical efforts that they're facing are changing. So it's not the same as it always is, and they're adjusting as the packages come in. So there's going to be a lot of discrepancy. So all we could do is just be patient with them. That way, we stay on their good side and we get the loads that we want. And that's pretty much it.
All righty. Well, thank you guys. We appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Take care.